Mason's order. Chip over the top on the last tackle. He got in behind them. Lovely work from the halfback. Fires the pass away to Robert Miles, who will score for the Eagles. Oh, what a try!
Welcome back on Super Saturday to Brookvale Oval. Well, this game was scheduled to have been played at North Power Stadium at Gosford. But the Sea Eagles have played their last game at Gosford earlier in the week. The decision was made to switch all of their future games back to Brookvale Oval. Let's look now at the troubled history of the battle for the home grounds between Gosford and Brookvale.
North Power Stadium was to be the Northern Eagles' spiritual home after North Sydney and Manly amalgamated back in 1999. Built at Gosford on the New South Wales Central Coast, funding came from the federal and state governments, the local council and the North Sydney Leagues Club. The official opening was on February the 6th, 2000, when the merged Northern Eagles defeated the Newcastle Knights 24 points to 14 in front of a ground record which still stands at 20,059.
Steve Manji scores his first try for the new franchise.
The new club was to play 7 games at Gosford and 6 at Brookvale. Peter Sharp was the coach, and his hand-picked squad was a combination of the best from both clubs.
I think so, especially with the reduced competition, 14 teams. There's no easy games, as there used to be a couple, and 26 rounds, it's a long year.
The strong playing roster skyrocketed the expectations of locals, and coupled with the new state-of-the-art stadium, the move to North Power Stadium seemed set to line the newly merged club's pockets with gold. But the closest they came to having the Midas touch was in their first year. On the field, the Northern Eagles, winning 4 from 7 at North Power, never quite lived up to the potential, but off the field, the move was a hit. 110,000 spectators turned up for those 7 games for an average of just over 15,500 fans. The stadium had everything for the fans. All they needed was a winning football team, but it never really happened. The club again struggled in 2001. Just 3 wins at North Power saw the crowd average drop to 11,000, and that wasn't the only problem. Animosity and infighting at board level, plus financial difficulties, saw the Northern Eagles wound up at the end of 2001 and the licence returned to Manly. At around the same time, millionaire businessman John Singleton bought the licence to North Power, and he wanted the Northern Eagles there full-time. If not, he wanted his own NRL team to play out of Gosford, and to date, neither has eventuated. Coach Sharp put his second new club together in 3 years, and again, the reinvented Manly would share the games between Brookvale and North Power. But after just 3 games on the Central Coast, it was evident the Northern Eagles were not welcome. Just over 5,000 turned up to their round 6 match against the Raiders, and for this week's round 16 meeting with the Storm, only 13 tickets had been pre-sold. As a result, North Power management put a deal to the Eagles that allows them to play their 3 remaining matches at Brookvale. Naturally, the board accepted, much to the delight of the Manly faithful.
Interesting to look at the home crowd averages for the Northern Eagles. At North Power Stadium, first of all, in year 2000, averaging over 15,500. That dropped to 11,500 in 2001, and this year down to a dismal 6,500. But at Brookvale, in those 3 years, the averages just over 10,000, over 8,500, and back up this year to 11,500. It's easy to see why the Eagles wanted to make Brookvale their permanent home. And earlier on, Andy Raymond was able to catch up with 3 of the executives from the Eagles about this week's move.
Yeah, look, it's great to be back at Brookie. It's fair to say we've had a couple of years in the wilderness, travelling between Brookie and Gosford, but the boys are very excited about being back at Brookie. I know the fans are very excited, so hopefully they'll get behind the footy side and we'll resurrect this footy club.
Well, you've got to understand, we've been married to Miss Piggy for the last couple of years and it really wasn't consummated, but the Manly Football Club is one of the most successful clubs in the modern era. We know how to win, we know how to run a good club, and now that we don't have to ride any interference, then that'll come back. Within 5 years we'll be at the top of the tree again and everyone will hate us like they have before, and that comes about from, I think, just knowing how well we can run a football club and how well we can play football.
And isn't it a wonderful message too? It's fantastic. I don't know that we'll get a crowd to warrant the occasion, but certainly it's a great thing to be back.
Wally, you can understand Manly wanting to come back to Brookvale. It is their home, but The Central Coast is just an exploding area population-wise with a magnificent facility that's now sitting as a white elephant.
Yes, and it's a wonderful ground up there, I believe. It's probably the premier rugby league ground. It's got one of the most wonderful views in rugby league, and you have a look. You mentioned just how much it's going to increase for junior rugby league development in the future, and I think it's an area in particular that the Australian Rugby League are going to be a little bit angry about, because they see the rugby union bosses have already targeted that for the future.
Surely. The Eagles preparing to leave their dressing room. And you would think it would be a great lift for them this afternoon, as their players seem to play much better, certainly when they're here at Brookvale Oval. I know their captain Stephen Menzies is one who loves playing on this ground and feels that his side goes better when they do play here, and they know that they're now back here as Manly. And as their home ground, their permanent home ground, is going to be Brookvale Oval, as Steve Menzies brings out his Manly Sea Eagles. The crowd here at Brookvale Oval, certainly not a capacity crowd, but given what a cool afternoon it is, it's probably, they would be pleased, I would think. The Manly club would be very pleased with the crowd that is here. Stephen Menzies backing up from Origin duties, and John Hopewadi, the last man out for the Northern Eagles.
Eventually getting his place out onto the football field, keeping his hands warm, no doubt, in the dressing room. Unquestionably his best year ever in the NRL. Big Hopper, well, he doesn't get a chance to get through too much defence in a game of footy, but boy, doesn't he get through some work and attack. Last week got through a hell of a lot, and has become one of the game's hardest to tackle players. What a wonderful season he's having.
Sean Hampstead, the referee for this afternoon, as we said. Melbourne are running with the aid of the breeze in the... Well, it's not a breeze, it's a wind, a southerly wind in the first half.
He's on one, let him up all the way, Eagles.
And Melbourne just outside their own 20, and the first penalty. Pushing in the play the ball rules Sean Hampstead, so the first penalty on tackle number 1 goes the way of the Storm, and Scott Hill kicks for touch and finds it just a few metres short of halfway. Scott Hill, another player, backing up from Origin duties last Wednesday night. Danny Williams to play the ball. Straight ahead goes Robbie Kearns and gets it 11 metres inside Manly's territory. Now away to Orford. Pushes his pass on to Robinson.
Held 3, Kidbates tackles down, Kevin down. Albert Torrens.
Again working the short side. They lock forward Willie Lation. Richard Swain, a dummy half. Away to Orford. Pushes it on to Scott Hill. Hill sees an opening, coming back inside to Robbie Ross. Oh, he's a brilliant backup player as Robbie Ross. Terry Lamb used to be the best at it. This little fellow is not far behind. Whenever there's a break on, Robbie Ross invariably is there, and he knew exactly what was on, and that's a great try for Melbourne to start this game.
Yeah.
30 metres up from the Melbourne line to Williamson.
He's on one end off now, let him up. All the way, Storm, all the way.
Back into the action just behind the Eagles line. Hopewadi very keen to get involved. They're almost up to the 20. Down the short side through Ben McDougall, but they squib on him, and Langy's there able to put him to ground.
Let him go now, let him go.
8 metres up. Back to Jamie Goddard. Runs from dummy half, gives it away to Nathan Long. Long will go over and score. That's the hit back that they wanted, the Eagles. Came from an unforced error originally by Aaron Moore, who spilt the ball as he got up to play it for Melbourne, and the Eagles have capitalised to make it 6-4.
I don't think Melbourne coach Mark Murray will be too impressed about the defence from there either. A couple of the Storm players simply waited for a while, and Scott Hill, the man that tended to wait and slide rather than move up and attack.
Yeah, great comeback by the Northern Eagles, and won't this gentleman be very happy. Had a pretty ordinary couple of weeks. Of course, he was knocked out in the very first tackle in that City Country game, and he's only had a little bit of footy since. And he's starting in the front row today, which isn't his usual position, but go over that 4-pointer. I'm sure he's very happy with it.
You can shoulder charge, but you can't just physically push a player out of the way. So a quick tap taken by Manly. Now away to Long. Got his pass back to Lima, and he's 10 metres out from scoring. Jamie Goddard goes left to Kosev. Long pass goes on to McDougall and then to Miles. Oh, he's in great form, Miles. Scored a double last week for the Eagles, and he's in again.
Just checking the corner post.
Robert Miles looks as though he scored, but referee Sean Hampstead just wants to go upstairs and check with the video referee, who this afternoon is John Gosher. He is in superb form, Robert Miles, a very, very good finishing winger. Absolutely no problem there. That is the sign of a winger who knows how to finish a try, Wally Lewis.
Yep, the only thing they're going to have to check here is just his left foot, just before he puts it down, but that's great form. Really stretched out, put it down with his left hand, no problem there. And you're going to have to look at his right foot, actually, that comes across, no problem. It looks to be stuck half a metre in the air. So the green light would appear to be able to please the Brookvale fans once again in a few seconds' time.
Here comes the decision from John Gosher. Try it is, and a very good try by Robert Miles. From their own line, they've eventually been able to finish that set with the kick down into the in goal and then make the first tackle just a few metres out from the Melbourne line.
It was a good set of 6, John, and it wasn't helped by the fact that the intensity level from the Melbourne Storm in defence has certainly dropped off.
Here's a go, Robinson able to get it away to Moole, who's got a lot of pace. Reeves comes across, infield he kicks, coming through after it is Goddard. Moole's able to pick it up and is tackled 10 metres out, but there's no one with him at the moment. Robbie Ross comes up to be dummy half, got it away to Orford. Orford able to unload his pass to Hill. Wide it goes, out by DeLange. He should go in and score. Junior Lange's over.
What's that?
Holding down in the tackle, gives Luke Dawn the chance to kick the touch. Here it is again. Menzies struggling to his feet. Robinson holds on to him, pushes him to ground. That's the reason for the penalty.
I was going to say there's some instructions going on. Desi Hasler, the trainer, is out there at the moment. He's gone to come from the field twice and has got instructions from another trainer and has run back to get he can't get off the field himself.
Very lucky that he still looks very, very fit, Desi, because he is doing some running.
He certainly is. Here's Albert Torrance making a half break. Last week they said he was on the field so much he was almost in the voting for the Dally M Awards. Hopawade gives his pass, a long one to Dawn, then on to Menzies. Oh, did well to take that in, Steve Menzies. A very, very good take by the Beaver. Away to Reeves, now to Dawn, inside to Williamson. Goddard at dummy half, gives it away to Dawn. Grubbers the kick into the in-goal. Menzies chasing, did he get a hand on it, Steve Menzies? He thinks he did. The other question, is he onside?
We'll check two things. We'll check the onside and also the grounding.
Onside and the grounding is what John Gosher has to check. The more I see of young Luke Dawn, though, whether this is a try or not, the more I'm impressed by him, and he's just getting better every game.
Yeah, and it's the style in which he does it as well. Of course, it's all going to be controlled. Have a look at the way he drops it onto his left foot. There's certainly no problem whatsoever with 4 or 5 of the Manly players being onside. Menzies, he read very well. He reached around. You can see one of the Melbourne Storm players there was doing his level best to be able to shepherd the ball over the line. Tried with his right hand to be able to push it over. Missed it. And Menzies got on top and pushed the ball down. Grounded it perfectly.
I don't believe it. Oh, I give up. And Mark Murray has now sent the word out that they'll take a quick tap. Away to Orford. Then it goes to Steve Kearney. Kearney almost busted through the line. Good tackle by Kosev, got him. Away from Orford, then to Lation. Willie Lation trying to push his way through. Only 2 metres out. He plays the ball to Swain, who goes to the blind side and scores. His partner in crime, who he set up for the first try in just 2 minutes into the game, Robbie Ross, unfortunately out of the game with a calf injury. So more responsibility put onto the shoulders of Scott Hill. Terrific take to start by Brendan Reeves. That was a very, very difficult ball to take. Held up against the wind, he had to rush forward and take it. Very, very good skills as Hopewadi plays the ball. Mel Kafusi able to unload it, went back to Goddard and then to Dawn, trying to just work his way through the middle of the ruck. Kosef. Now on to McDougall, starting to clap on the speed bend. McDougall had got through, gives the pass then to Miles. He's confronted by Langy inside, it goes to Menzies. Menzies will score. No doubt this time Steve Menzies scores the try, but excellent work by Ben McDougall to make the initial break, and Menzies on the end scores.
Oh, great support play from Menzies. Continues to add to his try-scoring tally with some pretty ordinary defence on the inside of the Melbourne Storm. Scotty Hill was the man that hung off for a couple of seconds. That was the thing that really caused some problems in the end. 2 or 3-on-1 in the end just made life very difficult at the back. You just see that's where the problem started, Lazo.
Yeah, it certainly was, but I just got to give a rap to Brendan Reeves. That take he took from the kick-off was not only very brave, but very skillful. And the thing that surprised me most of all was the fact that there was just no cover for the Melbourne Storm. Once the Northern Eagles player got through the first line of defence, there was no one there to try and tackle the player that was cutting the football or the supporting plays. And you can't deny this guy. He was denied a try in the first half, but he certainly made up for it in the second half.
And 128 career tries, the second most by a forward, but it takes him to 12th overall in the try-scoring list. He was level coming into today with the great Reg Gasnier. Puff the Magic Dragon. They had 127 apiece. Menzies now moves to 128. Luke Williamson. This kick coming back in. It's there by Williamson. The Storm in front, but now only by 2, which gives some worries to the Melbourne Storm coach, Mark Murray.
Orford took the ball through, so it's given them another chance. 20 metres out now. This is probably the only opportunity they've had to post points close to the line in the second stanza.
Scott Hill. To the line he goes, and then tried to just drop a pass off to Ian Sibbott. He really had no hope of taking that, and that is just an absolute wasted opportunity.
Very much so. And as we keep saying, you only get a limited amount. I don't think Ian Sibbott here watching that really knew what was going on. There was obviously no communication there. Scotty Hill wanted Ian Sibbott to come back in on the inside. He didn't do it. He had the ball given to him under pressure again, John, and unfortunately went to the ground. An opportunity wasted.
Well, he's probably so used to working that ploy with Robbie Ross, he knew what was on, and maybe Ian Sibbott didn't. Brendan Reeves, the Eagles fullback, is on his own 30. Melbourne leading by 16-14 here at Brookvale. It's Nathan Long. Straight ahead goes the blonde-headed front rower. Now to Dawn. On to Lima. Chad Randall is on for the Eagles, wearing jersey 16. He runs in to be the dummy half at the moment, the son of the great Terry Randall. From Shipway, that pass looked forward. It came back on the inside, and Hopewadi will run away and score. Oh, there's some great doubt about this pass. Referee checks with the touch judges and gives the try, but there had to be a forward pass in there, surely to goodness. Well, they've had one try we thought was a fair one disallowed. This is one that's given that we think should have been held back.
John, Wally, honestly, what are the linesmen looking at when this game of rugby league is being played? Surely, someone there, either of the linesmen or the referee would have seen that was a blatant forward pass, and now Melbourne find themselves behind the scoreboard.
Oh, that's a metre forward.
Not only should have that not been a try, that should have been a penalty to Melbourne for a pass thrown to a player offside.
I don't understand how the referee hasn't picked that up though. You just see the Melbourne players that were protesting about it. Goodness. Anyway.
I guess the week we've had as far as decisions on tries have been, yeah.
Look, that pass given by Shipway to Randall. Randall standing well in front of him. Not only a forward pass, but the player was offside.
Well, it all started on Wednesday night. We saw another one last night. We're seeing it again here today. Just very inconsistent rulings as far as tries being awarded or not being awarded. And I think, as the public, we deserve better.
Luke Williamson converts. The Eagles are back in front. As we said, they had a try disallowed in the first half to Steve Menzies that we thought was a fair try, but that one given to them, which no doubt came off a blatant forward pass.
There's been a couple of things at the back of the Melbourne Storm defensive line that you just know that Robbie Ross would have covered up. No wonder they wanted to move to Brookvale, John. Luke Dawn knows every blade of grass at this oval, even though he's only played here 4 times. That was an amazing kick. I actually thought he kicked it too hard, but to his credit, he obviously knew what he was doing.
Yeah, certainly did. They're 25 metres out from scoring, the Eagles. Hopawate fires it away to Dawn. In behind the line to Williamson. They've got men over to McDougall, and it goes to Miles, and he can finish a try. But this time, he claims the try. The referee will go and check with John Gosha. The corner post has been taken. Did he get it down correctly? The video referee will decide.
Gee, he did a great job. I think he's got it down in the corner just before collecting. But let's not say we think he did at all. Our predictions haven't done too well at all this afternoon. He did enormously well, carted the ball in the left hand, used the right as a fend. Got away from the defender quite well, used it to plant the ball just inside the line. I think he's got it down perfectly.
Well, Nathan Long just taking a hard hit there from Stephen Kearney as Dawn gives it back to Torrens. Thought about throwing his pass, but will play it to Reeves, a few metres inside Melbourne territory. Nick Kosef gives it back to Shipway, able to unload to Chad Randall. He's 21 metres out, Randall. They're playing now with confidence, the Eagles. The final tackle is coming up. Reeves a dummy half, called for by Dawn. Kicks over the top for Menzies to chase. Ball's gone loose. It'll be picked up though by Lever. The tackle count restarts. He may not have known it, Danny Lever. Luckily for them, it didn't go into touch, and Robert Miles keeps it alive to Dawn. Dawn fires a long pass over the top to Shipway. Inside it comes to Albert Torrens. He unloads to Hopawate. He's the hero of Brookvale Oval these days, Hopawate. He's in great form and scores the try that you would think would give this game to the Eagles. John Hopawate, the try scorer for the Eagles, gives them a lead of 30-16 with a kick to come.
Yeah, the ball went up in the end. You've got to question just how much competitiveness was on the ball itself. There didn't appear to be too many of the Melbourne players interested in collecting the ball. But from here, well, it was Rafferty's rules. After Miles collected the ball, shifted it out wide, the attack continued. Dawn threw it out, and you could just see the Melbourne defence. It was just scrambling, doing its best to try and keep up. Fortunately, they were no chance for matching the Eagles.
Now, when they put that kick across, it was good work by Stephen Menzies to actually hit that ball back so the Eagles get the football again. But the thing that I guess concerned me a little bit about the Melbourne Storm there, their line of defence was all over the shop there.
32 metres out is where he plays the ball. Kafusi with another tough run.
All the way, Storm, come on, Storm, all the way, come on.
Dawn to Danny Lima.
Come on, Storm, behind me, come on.
Last tackle coming up for the Eagles. Goddard, Dawn puts the kick back in field, hoping that Menzies can chase. Menzies gets a hand to it, puts it down. Well, they get a job at Ashton Circus. The juggler in the local circus. Steve Menzies scores the try. Good little kick by Luke Dawn, just a little reverse banana style kick. Menzies knew what was on, got the hand up to it, juggled it, held it, and scores the try that puts this game well and truly beyond Melbourne's reach.
Yeah, very well placed from Dawn. Great chase from Menzies as well. I thought they made a mistake by letting the ball bounce, Razzo. But terrific work from Menzies, who's certainly out there today to make up for the disappointments of Wednesday.
Yeah, well, the love affair with Brookvale Oval is continuing. this will end up being a very good victory for the Northern Eagles. And I guess you're just asking for trouble, Wally and John, when you allow that ball to bounce in the in-goal. Very unpredictable, the football, and once it hits that ground, it could bounce anywhere. And as we saw there, Junior Lengi just not able to get hold of it. Steve Menzies was, and he's gone in for his second try of the day.
Denied what we thought was a fair try in the first half, but he still has scored a double. The third Eagles player today to register a double. Menzies has scored 2, Hopawate has scored 2, and of course an excellent double, a great finishing double to their winger Robert Myers. 34-16, should in a moment become 36-16. Converted by Williamson. There is Peter Sharp, looking as though he's got the troubles of the world on his shoulders, but he should be feeling happy. He's back to home base at Brookvale Oval. The crowd are happy that Manly is back at Brookie, and they're in front by 36-16, where they love playing. Full time. The Manly faithful are delighted. Delighted to be back at home on a full-time basis, and certainly delighted with the result of the game. The Northern Eagles defeating the Melbourne Storm by 36-22. There's a happy man. Ken Arthurson, the former great Manly secretary and of course former chairman of the Australian Rugby League. He's one person who is very, very happy that they're back at Brookvale Oval. 36-22, the Eagles defeat the Storm here at Brookvale Oval this afternoon. And while the Northern Eagles will be happy, that man also very happy. Below that whistle ref, Tom Keneally, a great Manly supporter. While the Manly supporters certainly are happy, the Melbourne coach Mark Murray and the Melbourne side would be disappointed. They know that this was such an important game. They just made so many mistakes. They made a rod for their own backs. There may have been some decisions went against them, no doubt, but they just made so many mistakes. You can't win games when you make mistakes like that.
Northern Eagles were very good today. Not only did they turn around a deficit at half time, but they really did go on with the job, and I just felt that that try that was scored where we felt it was a forward pass really broke the spirit of the Melbourne Storm, and the Northern Eagles thoroughly deserved to win this football game here today.
Let's take your sideline. Here's Andy Raymond.
It's a very happy boy, the captain, Stephen Menzies. It's Brookvale Oval, it's the Manly Sea Eagles, and I guess the off-field dramas are history now.
Yeah, they sure are, you know. Wasn't a bad effort in the first half, but, you know, the guys playing at Brookie, 40 minutes in the second half, you know, they just showed what they can do, and I thought everyone played excellent.
On a personal level, you were exceptional too. 2 tries, should have been 3, Bede.
Oh, yeah, that one, it looked pretty close, but my hand must have been out or something, but that's the way it goes. But, yeah, no, I thought the guys did exceptionally well, you know. That second half was one of our better ones for the season.
The tries in the second half, you were able to get on a roll, and as I just said to Scott Hill, you played sensible footy and the points came.
Yeah, no, yeah, we dropped a little bit of ball in the first half there, and at half time, you know, even though we were down, we said just control the ball. You know, we had a bit of a breeze at our back, control the ball and play it down their half, you know, and we know we can score points, but I was really happy with our defence, you know, in that second half.
A guy you've played a lot of footy with since your junior days, Nick Kosef, he's been through really living hell with knee reconstructions, and he was back to the goat of old today.
He was, mate. He was. He's playing very well, you know. It's the best his knees have been for, I don't know how many years, you know, since all his dramas with him. But yeah, he's getting close to his best he's ever played, you know, which is a bonus for us, you know. An extra ball playing forward out there is very good.
Let's run through that last try, Beavis. Give us a blow-by-blow commentary.
I can hardly remember it, mate. I got a lucky bounce, I think, and oh, there we are there. Yeah, I got a bit of a lucky bounce, and I was able to just tip it out of his grasp there.
The emotion etched on the face of Stephen Menzies there, and it's emotion-charged Brookvale Oval. Well done, Beav.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, it was great to see a good crowd down here. Just happy to be back in the maroon and white, mate.
Well done.
Thank you.
Certainly well done, Steve Menzies. Makes an interesting point there about Nick Kosef after 4 knee reconstructions, but he is a player who's played in some 10 test matches and 8 state of origins, Nick Kosef, and if he's back to his best and playing his best football, that's a major, major plus for the Northern Eagles. Well, let's take you, in fact, to Nick Kosef. He's downstairs with Andy Raymond.
We got the man himself, Johnny McCoy, and Nick, after a long time of knee reconstructions, seeing specialists, seeing doctors, thinking perhaps the career's over, a game like that gives you a bit of hope.
Oh, it does, mate. You know, they're leaving me out there a bit longer nowadays, which is what I like. You know, I'd like to be playing 80. I got a bit of a rest at the end there. It was sort of over. So
was it 65 minutes today, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played about 65 straight, so it's getting there. You know, I come off and I still felt a bit fresh, so that's pleasing. And next week I hope to go longer.
As far as the footy goes and out there today, you're back into the second row. You had a bit of a stint up in the front row last season, early this season. A disappointing start to the year, but you found your form in the back row again.
Oh, mate, I think the boys are just starting to learn to play with me a little bit. You know, it's getting a little bit of more support when you're hitting the line, and I think it's just involving. You know, I knew that the first half of the season was going to be real tough for me, and it was going to, it was do or die, and I'm hung in there, and it's starting to turn the corner now, mate. So it's not there yet, but in weeks to come, hopefully, we'll be there.
You might be playing in jersey 12. You still look like a prop, Nick. Well done, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.